Welcome to this retrospective/review for Alex Kidd in the Enchanted Castle, a game that originally came out on the Sega Genesis in 1989. Now, kind of like when I first mentioned at the beginning of my playthrough for this, one of the reasons why I chose this game is because this happens to be one of the games that you can get on the North American release of the Sega Genesis Mini that came out, I think, about a year or so ago. And I'm just basically going to start going down the list of the games, probably in alphabetical order for the most part, and just giving them a try. And so this one just happened to be at the very top of the list. And if you follow, a lot of YouTube content, if you one of the channels I love to watch is called Sega Lord X, and he didn't have a lot of good things to say about this game, so I did kind of dread playing it a little bit going into it. But let me just go ahead and say, for starters, if you haven't ever checked out Sega Lord X's channel, if you want to get some more insight into pretty much anything Sega related, but he does other things as well, not just Sega. He's a really good channel. I think you should go check him out. But I'm not going to say I completely and totally disagree with him or agree with him. Um, he absolutely hates this game, and I don't think I hate it as much as him, but he does make a lot of extremely valid points. For me, the game is a very slippery type game, I guess is the best way of describing it. And the hit detection is kind of off in it. And it does take you a little bit of time to get used to the mechanics of the game. Just from other games in that time period, you had the Super Mario games, for instance, on the Nintendo NES. You had, Kirby games, other platformers, lots of platformers, Castlevania ones. And this game, it definitely does feel different. And honestly, I haven't played a lot of Sega games from the Master System era or from the Genesis era, but the ones that I have played do kind of have that very slippery feel to it compared to the Nintendo games. And so that is definitely something to take into consideration. So if you're more someone like me who's familiar with the platforming style of Nintendo systems, it's a bit jarring, that whole slipperiness. But once you get used to it, it's not too bad. You can adjust basically. Hit detection that's one thing I think is probably a little more problematic. Actually, is like sometimes, especially like just punching the enemies, they have to get very close to you, and basically a very easy chance of you just getting hit as well. So it does kind of affect the game. Now, as far as guides are concerned, I didn't really follow any guides. I downloaded an instruction manual just so I could know what the actual items did. But for this game, basically, I just played through it and figured it out. In a way, I wish I had started using some of the items, especially the power bracelet, early on. That would have made things, a lot easier on myself. But I didn't want to lose the items, and that was, if you die while having said item equipped, it goes away, and it's very easy to die in the game. Obviously, it just takes one hit, you're done. So that's another aspect of the game I think is kind of a bit of a turnoff, as it were. But after playing it, it's really not that difficult a game. The absolute worst part of the game, and this is something that, like I said, that reviewer mentioned, is that you get to these boss battles, and they're a game of paper, rock, scissors. Uh, the fact that this game just relies so much on paper, rock, scissors, it really just kind of is a drag on the game, to be honest with you. Um, Even with the little token, little necklace thing with a little blue diamond on it, or whatever that is, you can see what the enemy is thinking. But even that only helps so much, because then they may change what their hand symbol is at the very last second and you still lose. So the token is only moderately helpful. It is helpful, but only moderately so. Um, and just the fact that those boss battles relied on that paper rock scissors game for you to actually beat them and progress through the level, or you just lose a life if you failed. It was just, I don't know. It's a huge turnoff because it is really very random, extremely random, even with the token on how to you have a chance of winning that paper rock scissors match. The only boss battle that you actually had to fight the boss was the very last one with Ashra, and you had to beat him twice in paper rock scissors just to get to the boss battle. And the boss battle itself was actually pretty pretty much very kind of a letdown because as long as you had a power bracelet, all you had to do is keep shooting him with it until he basically cracked. And if he shot his fist at you, you just duck under it and then get back up and shoot him again. So very easy to beat the final boss of the game, with the exception of paper rock scissors. And that's one of the things about this game. When I got done with it, I was like, man, I don't think I ever want to play the game of paper rock scissors ever again in my life. So yeah, this was Sega's early attempt at a mascot back with their Master System days and the early days of the Genesis before he was quickly shunted aside for Sonic, and honestly, for the best. But just to give you an idea, in my playthrough, I played with save states, and that did help things out a little bit. But I did play it again after that on a hardcore mode using the RetroArch, and that basically means no save states. And I was able to play it from beginning to end, pretty much without any issues. I could beat it again the second time through in probably about a hour 30ish minutes, hour 50, something like that. So it's not a tough game. Once you get used to it, it's really not that difficult of a game, and that really kind of kills the replay value. There really is no replay value after you've beat it once, maybe twice, and that's it. I mean, I guess you could put it on hard mode because there is a difficulty slider you can put on easy, normal, or hard. I played it on normal, but honestly, I don't see any reason why you would want to play it on hard. It's not that good of a game. It's not horrible. I've actually played much worse games than this, to be honest with you. But I wouldn't say it is absolutely horrible. So I guess my final score for this thing using my star system would probably be a little bit below average at 3 out of 5 stars, about a 60% or so. Um, it's actually kind of colorful, and the graphics are actually kind of cutesy and neat. I kind of like them. The music actually is kind of catchy. You get those tunes and they kind of stick in your head, and not in a bad way. So the graphics and sound are actually pretty decent, but the gameplay itself, it just leaves a lot to be desired, and that whole reliance on paper, rock, scissors kind of brings things down quite a bit. Now, obviously, having said all that, where can you go to obtain this game if you do want to give it a try? Well, honestly, you can get it pretty much anywhere. I happen to have the Steam store page up right now with it, and the normal price for this game, as you can see here, 99 cents. That's dirt cheap, really. But it just so happens, Steam's doing their autumn sale right now, and they have the entire Sega Mega Drive and Genesis Collection bundle for 91% off, which is probably roughly what I paid for it. I don't know if I got it that good of a deal because that's pretty dang good. But I got it at a very high percentage off. And honestly, at this price, the amount of games you get when this thing goes on sale, it's really a great offer. But if you're not a PC player and you happen to have a console like a PS5, PS4, Xbox One, pretty much any of them, Nintendo Switch, pretty much all the major consoles, they have access to a Sega Classics collection, and this game is going to be on every single one of them. But you can always get that Sega Genesis Mini if you want to have something to hook up to your TV, if that's something you are interested in. Now, for me, I played this both with RetroArch using the Genesis Plus GX Core, And I also played it on Steam using the built-in emulator on Steam. And I've got to say that I think the emulator on RetroArch worked way better than the one on Steam, at least under Linux. There's a lot of screen tearing and whatnot, and you seeing the flicker and whatnot on the screen using the emulator in the Genesis Plus collection. I don't know if it was because of whatever their implementation was on Linux, or is that just wasn't designed well for this game. But it just worked much better under RetroArch. That's the thing is you can just take the ROM that you get from buying it on Steam and just plug it directly in to RetroArch and it works just fine. They're not doing anything like hiding the ROM in any way, shape, or form. So you literally can just take it from your Steam download and play it from there. Or if you have it installed, your RetroArch folder, you could point it to this Steam folder where all the uncompressed ROMs are, and you could do it that way. One way or the other, basically. So yeah, I would say if you're going to play this, if you want to purchase it legally, you can get it really cheap off of Steam or anywhere else with the whole Genesis collection. But yeah, definitely play it in RetroArch because I think you'll have a much better experience playing it that way because I think that emulator just works so much better. So anyway, that's pretty much it with my thoughts. Not that bad of a game, or not really a good game either. It's nothing that I would say is very memorable, and Sega did the right thing by ditching this guy as their mascot and going to Sonic for sure. But anyway, let me know what y'all think in the comments below, and thank you very much for watching this video. See y'all in the next one. Take care.